say to you, you are looking for me not because you saw a sign, but because you are filled with the bread I gave you. But work for food that are not perishable. I am the bread of life. Whoever eats of me will never go hungry. Whoever drinks of me will never get thirsty. Today, as I said to you in the beginning of the Mass, the Church is focused on one question. We have to evaluate our faith. And we are going to see if our lifestyle is really the lifestyle that Jesus is asking of us. We take the story of the chosen people in the first reading. And we see these people that after God loved them so much and hear their plea to get out from the grip of Pharaoh, he sent Moses to bring them out of Egypt. And after much anticipation, and God did so much marvel in front of the Pharaoh through Moses, the Pharaoh let them go. And while they were out in front of a sea, they do not know how they are going to cross it. The Lord said to Moses, raise your staff, and the water will part. And the chosen people walked on dry land. The chosen people were so afraid that they are going to be destroyed by the army of Pharaoh. And God said to Moses, again, raise your staff. And the water came again together and drowned the whole army of Pharaoh. This they saw with their own eyes. They complained about food. We have no bread here. We have no meat. And the Lord said to Moses, tell them that in the morning they will go after dew is evaporated to collect what I am going to give them, which they call it manna. What is this? And then they saw quails in the evenings, and so they have meat. They complained to Moses, we have no water. And again God asked Moses to hit the rock, and water came out of that rock. And with all of this, the Lord said to Moses, let me see if they obey me. Let me see if they could trust in me. And that's the great lesson for all of us, because humanity after the fall, that means after the sin of Adam and Eve, it was humanity, it is humanity, and will remain humanity. Stubborn, stiff-necked people. And today we saw that same attitude in the gospel. When Jesus, after he performed the miracle of the loaves that he fed over 5,000 men, excluded women and children, we see the people running after him, and they come to Carmel. And there they said to him, Lord, when did you come here? And Jesus said to them, as he said to me and to all of us here, why are you looking for me? Because you really put faith in me, or because of the food that you ate and filled your stomachs? And Jesus said to them, as he said to us, work for food that does not perish, and I am the one that can lead you to the great happiness of everlasting life. The cantor today said that verse before the gospel. Man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. And that's what Jesus was saying to us. Believe in me, because I am the Word incarnate. I am the Word of the Father who becomes flesh. And if you believe in me that comes from the Father, you have really faith in me that I am the real one. And then you are going to nourish yourself on the journey towards your destination on the bread that I give you. You will have life, and that life will be eternal. And we are going to examine ourselves today in that letter of St. Paul that Paul wrote to the people of Ephesus. And the church presented to us for our meditation. Because the words of Paul to the people of Ephesus have lots to do with what we are living today. And listen to what St. Paul has to say. I declare and testify in the Lord that you must no longer live as the Gentiles do. The people of Ephesus, before they saw their conversion or they changed to believe in Jesus, they were living a pagan life. And that pagan life was not really the way the Lord wants us to live. They gave themselves to drunkenness. They gave themselves to immoral actions. They gave themselves into doing whatever comes their way. And so now he is saying to the Ephesians and say to us, once you put on Christ, you are not the old self, but you become a new creation. And we are going to see it in the letter. In the fertility of their minds, this is not how you learn Christ, assuming that you have heard of him and were taught in him as truth in Jesus, that you should put away the old self of your former life. St. Paul said, I am assuming that after I visit and I even gave you people to direct you in the faith, I am assuming that you have heard the teaching of Christ. You have heard the role, the ethics that we Christians must live by. We call it the golden rule. And we know that St. Paul is saying, now that I assume that you know about Christ, I am asking you who put on Christ, to not live the old life, but live the life of Christ. That's why in baptism in the early days, they used to immerse the candidates in the water. Because in the water they go, and then they die to themselves. And from that water they rise to a new life. And then later on, they will give them the gown, that white gown, that even in baptism we give to children. To identify now that we are now children of God. We have been cleansed from sin, and we are now that very, very child, adopted child of the eternal Father. And that God represents that now we put on Christ. Listen to what St. Paul has to say about it. Corrupted to deceitful desire. We know that our flesh, our human being, has that attitude or has that inclination. Inclination to do evil. Whether you are, the Pope, Bishop, Priest, whoever you are, we are clothed in this nature. And this nature many times issue forth what we really do not want to do. Sometimes even thoughts in church, they come to you. Sometimes even when you say your prayer, sometimes even, you are minding your own business, and all of a sudden, you are caught in these desires. And within you, in the spirit of your minds, because everything begins here. We need to put in our mind Jesus Christ. That is the most important thing. And then St. Paul said, and put on the new self, the new Christ, created in God's way, because Christ is the image of the eternal Father, in righteousness, holiness, and truth. And I don't think you will find holiness, truth, and righteousness in actions of evil.